Okay, so I want to say, welcome to everyone, and I want to give a special welcome to Elise from Fleur Elise Bkln. She is here to show us how to do floral arranging, and as I said, we were talking about a little bit maybe of the Ikebana floral design, as well as inspiring everybody to make some floral arrangements, either for the holidays or honestly, anytime.
Every day.
It's always nice to have a little bit of freshness in your house, especially this time of year. So with that, I am going to let Elise take it away.
Hello, nice to meet you all. And I hope I'll get to see the other people when they're ready. Just a little bit about myself, and then I'm gonna go around and ask everybody because it helps me to remember people's names. So I started in the dance world, modern dance world, and then I ran arts organizations. And then I woke up one day and decided I needed to reinvent. And I had been walking through the flower market between 6th and 7th Avenue on 28th Street. If you haven't been there, you should go before the hotels have taken it over. It's one of the most extraordinary blocks in New York City. And I started taking a flower design class here and there. And then I went with my husband to Japan and I took an Ikebana class, which is Japanese floral design, which I will talk more about. And about 6 months later, I started doing this as a new career path. So that was about 4 years ago. And I like to say that my real passion is in teaching floral design because I think it's a life skill. In Japan, it actually kids learn flower design before they learn to read. So I like everybody to feel like they have the tools to do that on a regular basis. It's a little bit, what I teach you is a little bit of a mashup of what I call choreography, Japanese flower design, and overall design principles. The sequence of events here is we're going to do a little what I call grounding after we've just gone around and done names. I have a short slideshow to share with you so we get clear on some terminology. And then everybody's going to show what they've got to work with. It's one of the reasons I like everybody to bring different things because every different kind of material gives you some more information. That goes for vases as well as flowers. And then we'll just go to it and I will just come in and out, asking you to show me where you are, or you can ask me questions. I like it to be very interactive, and unless you have a screaming toddler or a barking dog, feel free to keep your sound on. So Joyce, since you were here first, would you just, something about yourself and your relationship to flowers, whatever that might be. And if you were a flower, what would you be?
Okay, so I'm actually here with my friend Judy, so she's going
to
join in and help me. So my relationship to flowers. So my name is Joyce. I've lived in Upper Saddle River for many, many years, and I'm a huge supporter of the library. I'm always so happy to participate in their programs, which are always so wonderful. And thank you to Linda. I don't really have much of a relationship to flowers. I love them, and I'm happy to go to the supermarket and grab a pack and stick it in a vase, but that's about where I end.
Okay. And if you were going to be a flower, do you have sometimes people don't know, and that's fine.
Oh, maybe a chrysanthemum?
Okay. The national flower of Japan, many, many varieties, and very long lasting. And
there's a children's book too. There's a children's book.
Hello, I'm here. I'm Judy. I'm from Upper Saddle River as well. My relationship to flowers, I think I have a creative flair, so that's probably, it might translate into floral arrangement. I have no idea, so we'll have to assess that when we're done. I would say that the flower that I can probably most relate to is a lily. But like either a calla lily or is it a rubrum lily? Is there such a thing as, it starts with an R. White leaves, and it has an orange, orange fuzzy things.
It's not a daylily.
Stargazer, like a stargazer?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know the official name of it.
White, right, or a
Right.
calla lily, either one. I
Okay.
can be both. I have two
Also
personalities.
very long lasting. And some of
Yes.
them smell and some of them don't, which is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
When we're choosing.
Yes, true.
Are you Robin or Mark? Robin and Mark.
I am whoever. I answer to everything. I'm Robin. Yes, I've lived in Upper Saddle River for, oh wow, more than half my life. And yes, and Linda's doing a great job with her library programming. Thank you. And my relationship, my father has always been a big flower buyer. Like there was always flowers. He always brought a case of flowers for my mother. And even every holiday, every anniversary, every birthday, my parents still send flowers.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is. And I buy in the supermarket all the time too. You know,
Great.
and if I were to be a flower, I have no idea.
Okay, you can decide later or not. Sharon, are you close by? Or Anna? It would be really good to see your face, or Melania or Cheryl, anybody?
Okay.
Hi. Go ahead, Cheryl. Muted. You're muted, love.
I know my son was practicing saxophone, so I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
So I'm Cheryl. I've lived in USR for 15 years. My thing of flowers. I, just grab flowers. I don't know. A friend of mine said that you should always have fresh flowers in your house. So like that sort of sticks in my head. If I was a flower, I'd be a tulip, or recently I've started liking those palms. But I really like tulips and palms, and also they come in the bush. The deer don't like them. I had them in my wedding. I don't know. It's escaping me right now. People grow spring, and then like they have bushes, but you have to like make sure they stay up. I can't remember the name right now.
Okay.
Anyway,
The peonies.
yes, the peonies.
Oh, peonies. Yeah.
So those are my three: tulips, palms, and peonies.
That would make a lovely arrangement.
So there you go. So right now I just got some palms today, like
Okay.
in a vase.
I can show you a trick I just learned from my teacher about things you can do with palms. Anna, are you there? Okay. And who are you missing? Sharon. Okay, Sharon, whenever you get back, and Anna, whenever you get back. So I said a little bit about Ikebana, which is the Japanese form of flower design, which is a spiritual practice in Japan. And so I like to invite everybody to sort of ground themselves. So I'm going to invite you, and you don't need to look at the screen for this. In fact, you don't need to look at the screen at all for lots of this. But I do invite you to stand up and close your eyes. I'm going to do this with you. This is like we spend too much time on our phones and in front of our screens and all that stuff. So this is just a chance, like a minute, to just kind of chill out. The closing your eyes is really helpful. Make sure you have a little room around yourself. And notice where your feet are on the floor. Notice where your weight is over your feet. And try and find your weight in between your little toe, your big toe, and your heel. And imagine that there are bubbles coming up from the floor that are going up through your legs and up through your torso and up through your neck and up through the top of your head and out like a fountain. And then just nod your head yes, very gently, chin to the chest, and then up towards the ceiling, just really easy, kind of oiling up that joint. And then an easy no, nice side to side. And then imagine you have heavy earrings on, and one ear is pulling towards your shoulder, and then the other ear pulling towards the other shoulder, but really easy. Just make it heavy. And then take your shoulders up and around in a nice big circle. Maybe notice that your breath is a little slower. And then imagine that your head has a crayon on it. You're drawing big circles and arcs on the ceiling. Any direction, just curved. And then let your head, like it's filled with sand, let your head pull you towards the ground. Let your arms hang off your back. Let your knees bend so you're not doing anything uncomfortable. And breathe into your lower back. Breathe into the middle of your back. Breathe in between your shoulder blades. Breathe into the back of your neck and slowly, slowly, slowly roll up. Really take your time. And then just take your fingers to your shoulders and take your elbows in some big circles. Any direction you want. It's really just to oil up your joints. And then take your hands in figure eights, because we are going to be doing digital work as opposed to digital work. And then shake your arms out like, you know, when the dog comes in out of the rain. And then clap your hands together and rub them really, really, really hard until your hands are warm. And then put them over your eyes. And just feel the warmth of your hands. Feel the dark. It's really just a minute to let your eyes rest because they work overtime. And then just gently pull away from the center of your eye out, and anything that needs a rub, back of your neck, whatever. Okay. A little more oxygen. I hope you're feeling a little more oxygenated. I always like to say, if at all possible, leave your phone off and ringer off, and you know, so that you can kind of just stay focused. We don't have a lot of time. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and go through this very brief slideshow just to give us all a sense of terminology. It's my virtual design class. Okay, design basics: shape, size, color, texture. It's true for graphic design, true for interior design, true for most areas of design, but flowers have one thing that nobody else has, which we just talked about briefly. Think about lilies or peonies. What's the one special quality that flowers have? Scent. So when you are shopping for your flowers, you want to consider scent because it's going to impact on the impact. You know, if you have a lily, it's going to overpower a lot of the rest of the flowers. If you have jasmine, it's a very delicate scent. So eucalyptus has its own, you know, and you can play around with those combinations, but it is something, evergreens. So it is one of the qualities that you have to consider in your arrangement. This is like my little mantra. Flowers are like dancers, only quieter. And it's all about the container. And basically how I like to think about this is that you're making a small dance in a small container. And really your objective is to understand your flowers as your dancers. They each have a spine and you want to work with them in a way that puts them at their best. So here's a few examples. I like to say, how do you use your vase? Exhibit on the left is the poor things are all choking to death because it's a very narrow topped vase and there's just a million beautiful flowers who can't find themselves. You could also just use one kind of flower. This is like what I call a double barreled old Japanese cylinder. It didn't really need anything besides these few flowers to make a nice duet. Think about shapes and textures and also context. So in a very spare, this was for an architect and a very spare loft, and I kept it very spare. And I also want to point out 1, 2, 3. The number 3 is your friend. Odd numbers are your friends. 5 is your friend, 7 is your friend. Not so interesting, the even numbers. We'll talk more about that. Habit is the thing we call the flower's spine. You know, the stem, the shape of the stem is the habit. And you always want to be able to see it and use it as kind of your main element of construction. You want to notice what those habits are. And some flowers have more interesting ones than others, but they all have something. This is smoke bush, which has got a lot of texture, but it's very fine. So that's another way to consider your elements. This is my proof of concept. Flowers are like dancers. This is allium. That's scapes. That's an orchid. You know, you get the idea. So things that really move give you less to do, right? You let your flowers work for you. These, by the way, dry really beautifully. Okay, I cannot give you the whole Ikebana lesson. I wouldn't try. And if you're interested, I have a fabulous teacher and I'm happy to recommend her. I like to give you a couple of principles, which I think are useful in any kind of arrangement. First one is negative space, right? You can see the lines and shapes between things because there's space around them. There's also certain kinds of balance. And there's also, if you'll notice, there's no two stems are the same height. So you have triangles. So once again, the rule of 3 is really helpful. There's relationships between these flowers. And that's another part of what you're looking for is, you know, you're making a little dance in a container. You're creating a certain set of relationships between your materials. I have to move this. So Ikebana is a sort of a branch of Ikebana. And I learned this from the woman who was a tea ceremony master. And she took me into the garden and she said, pick any 2 things, put them in the vase any way you want, as long as they're forward facing. And I find this really helpful because the flower is welcoming you, right? Whether you're at the table or you're at the front door, the first thing you see is that flower reaching out to you. And that was its use in the shrine. The flower was the first thing to greet the person who came into the shrine. I find it really helpful when I don't know what to do, right? There's like, I'm giving you little suggestions like 3s, 5s, forward facing, consider your environment. Because the more parameters that these things can give you, the less you have to think, right? Containers. So I don't know if it's gotten to your neck of the woods, but there's this fabulous Indian ice cream. And she's a friend of mine and I did flowers for her store when she opened it, and she has these beautiful colors. So I just used the ice cream containers. You know, they hold ice cream, they can hold water, and used her colors and use the flowers to kind of enhance those colors or to do a duet with them. So I just like to say anything can be a container. Contours. Once again, this is the idea of the duet. This is a picture. My friend used oregano in between her gladiolas to kind of enhance the shape. This is a curvy vase. I didn't fill it on purpose because I wanted to see the curves of the vase as well as the flowers. So there's, once again, it's a relationship that you're creating between the container and the contained. This is just an example again of habit. Gladiolas tend to have really incredible habits, and you know, you just want whatever your container is to give them enough space to breathe. if, you know, you guys probably have more foraging possibilities than I do here in Brooklyn, but you can combine things. You can use dried flowers, you can use live flowers, you can use seed pods. I had a teacher who pulls all the petals off the flowers because she likes the insides. It's really good to experiment with all the different materials you can, especially in the winter too, you know, branches, ribbons. There's a lot of things you can do, even if things are not like blooming. These are the rules and regs, as I like to call them, which is to say there really is no right way. Every society and every culture has a different way of organizing their flowers. My suggestions are that you really look at you honor your flowers, you look at their habit, you look at their shape, and you try and find the appropriate container for them. Or if you have a very particular vase, I actually teach a class called What to Do with That Vase, then you're going to look at your vase and say, okay, what's going to be the best combination of flowers to enhance that vase, right? But they're talking to each other. Give them space. Really, my only rule, this is really my only rule, and I swear if you follow this rule and do nothing else, you will always make a beautiful arrangement, which is no two stems should be exactly the same length. If you took a bunch of tulips and all you did was just make sure the stems were different lengths, you'd have a beautiful arrangement. Why? Because flat is boring. Our eye wants to be moved, and the best way to move your eye is to vary the height so that your eye has places to go. Like really, I've just taught you everything in that one thing. Asymmetry is your friend for the same reason. Your job is to give the viewer places to look, right? You're moving their eye around. Maintenance, also really easy. Change the water every other day. Trim the bottoms of the stems. If you have the little powder, you can use a little bit of it, but you don't have to. And really, I think of this as like there is no perfection. Flowers are not perfect. Leaves are not perfect. And I think the wonderful thing about flowers is that they're changing, they're evolving. You know, you get them with the bud like this, and then they open up, and then the petals fall off. So don't get stuck on your arrangement being exactly so. Some flowers will die before other flowers, and you'll rearrange. In fact, I like to say the best part of arranging flowers is rearranging flowers. And I will just show you one other thing, because some people are perfectionists. I happen to not be one of them. But if you were to want to be really, 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 really precise, there are a lot of tools. These are all on the left. These are kenzens, which are sometimes called frogs, which is what Ikebana uses to hold things in place. Exactly. There's also tape. Some people will teach you to do grids on the top of your vase. I don't do that. There's wire. There's like a million tricks. I can teach you that, but I like to give you the simplest approach so that it's not a taxing thing that you are doing. It's just something you come home from the store, you know, I'm going to take some leaves off and I'm going to change the da, and you're going to have something lovely. So that's it for that. Let's see what you got.
So a little show and tell, showing the containers. Like I said, I'm not doing it because I am monitoring what else is going on, but a little.
I don't know. I just have, like I said, I just have, wait, hold on, let me flip it around. I just have these palms. Excuse my disgusting table of mess.
Oh, no, I like the watermelon. You mean mums? Is that what you were saying?
No, those said palms on them.
Oh, palms.
Palms.
Yeah, palms. I
Yeah.
think they're in the chrysanthemum family, and they are very, very long lasting.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, well, we'll work with it.
Yeah.
Joyce, you've got, can you hold them separately just so we can see what you got there? So you've got Alstroemeria, the ones on the red ones, and you've got Ruscus, those green things you get in almost every flower combination you'll buy at the bodega. They last forever. Like I have never met anything that lasts that long. And, and that looks like a spider, Mom, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, I think so.
Great textures, beautiful colors.
Mhm.
And Robin, let's see what you've got.
I think I have the same green thing.
You have a slightly different green thing, and I know
Okay.
what it's called, but I can't, it's not
I
gonna
know,
come
I
to me
just
right
threw out
this
all
minute.
the plastic.
Good.
Then I have these pink ones. I don't know. Lady in Wegmans helped me pick everything.
They're really pretty. I feel like I know what they're called, but it's not, and I'm not gonna guess.
And these I got multicolored, I don't know.
Chrysanthemums.
Oh, I just call it daisy flowers.
Well, they do look like daisies, but I don't think so. But Cheryl, do you have any flowers you want to show us, or you're just watching? Oh, Cheryl, sorry, Cheryl. I meant Sharon.
Sharon, yeah. And Sharon, we lost your view. You're like pitch black right now, but like the lighting issue, not off video. Oh,
All right.
Sharon, you're
And
dark right now. It's like off.
very dark in there.
Yeah, like a lighting issue
Oh,
because of the
okay.
video.
Anna, are you there? Or are you watching? Okay. Vases. Let's see what you got. Tall. Okay.
I have
Very beautiful.
this one,
Oh, uh-huh.
this one, which is really heavy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, crystal tends to be like that.
And then the other thing I was thinking, if I had this flat thing with the foam, the floral foam in it.
Oh, well, I'm going to be opinionated for a minute.
That's
if I may.
fine.
Floral foam is extremely toxic to the environment. I never use it. If you are interested, and I don't teach with it for two reasons. One is about having to be too precise, because when you can put something exactly in the right place, you're going to spend a lot of time putting it exactly in the right place. Like I spent 4 hours in my Ikebana class the other night on 2 arrangements. I'm not suggesting you do that. There is something called agro wool, which is now compostable. And I'm happy to send you a link if you're interested in working with that. So that's what I'll say. So I'm gonna suggest, Robin, just because of the colors of your flowers, that maybe you want to try working with the colored vase.
The pink one.
Yeah,
That was
I mean,
my
it
first
just-
choice.
It just seems like it's an unusual color, and you can play around with those combinations. That's my opinion. You could go and do whatever you want, though. You're muted, honey. Judy, you're muted.
What about the glass balls as a base? Would you use those?
The glass balls as the base. You can. I don't, but you can try it.
Like marbles?
Oh, like marbles.
Yeah,
No reason why not.
because I've used these and kind of
Yeah, they give it a little more grounding at the bottom.
right, they stick in easier.
Sure.
Okay.
You can also, well, as we get going, I'll
Okay.
show you about how you can use the branches or the stems to become like an interlocking thing for you to
Right.
place things. But so here's what we're gonna do. Cheryl, did you have a vase, or you already have your flowers in your vase?
I already have my flowers in my vase. I'm pretty
Okay.
much hanging out watching. This is just
Okay.
like a small vase that I have.
So I'm going to say a couple of things before you actually start putting things in your vases. Thing one is you want no leaves in your vase, none, 0.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why?
Because
they mold.
Yeah, they decompose. When they decompose, the water gets dirty. When the water gets dirty, the flowers can't drink. So I suggest not having anything below the rim of the vase, no leaves whatsoever, which
So
allows you to
anything-
get to the Zen part of de-leafing. The other thing before you put anything in a vase is you want to establish your high and your low, or your floor and your ceiling.
Want to split these up?
So
Take some.
I love to use a shot glass for all my leftovers. Or a juice glass, or an espresso cup, or a milk pitcher. But you might want to watch this part for a second.
Here comes Judy.
So here's a proportion suggestion. Your tallest stem, whether it's green or flower, is not going to be more than 3 times the height of your vase. So I have this little shot glass, right? So I'm going to start with the top of my shot glass and the top of my evergreen here. I'm going to go 1, 2, and oh my God, I'm so lucky. Can you see this? It's exactly 3 times the height. That is the tallest. Doesn't mean you actually have to be that tall, but you don't want to be taller than. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Then you want to sort of establish your floor. So in this case, remember that thing about Ikebana and the forward facing? So one of the things that I find really important to realize is that the rim of the vase is like your shoes. You know how when you like look somebody up and down, you usually start with their shoes and go to their hat? Same thing with flower design. You want something really beautiful on the rim of the vase, right? Like right there, because the rim of the vase pulls your eye in. So you always want something beautiful kind of at the rim. And then you know what your ceiling is. You know what your floor is. Can you see that? And so then your job is going to be making connections between the floor and the ceiling, right? Staircases, arches, whatever it is, you're finding ways to connect the bottom of your arrangement to the top of your arrangement. And that can be many, many, many different levels, as many different levels as you can consider. I like to suggest that after you've taken all the leaves off that might go in the vase, that you start with 3 of what I call the star of the show. So one of your flowers or greeneries is going to be the one that you want to make the star of the show. And it's really like whoever's catching your attention, you know. And I'm going to send you a link to the New Yorker article where I'm talking to Emily Mortimer about flower design. And I say, you know, sometimes the star of the show does not end up being the star of the show, but it's a good place to start. Whoever's like really catching your attention, could be your white spider moms. That's your, you know, that's your number 1. And then everything else is the supporting cast. Oh, I'm going to mute myself because my.
Okay.
And
Should
I
we
will
be putting
send
the
out a link
flowers
to
in
that
first?
article.
Flowers in first, then the greens? Or not? Not necessarily. Okay.
Dog, be quiet. I like to say that it's whoever is your favorite goes in first,
Okay.
and then everybody else comes in later. And I also want to say that because we're not using any tools, could somebody please make the dog stop barking? Sorry about that.
We should be cutting these at different lengths.
So
too.
should I cut this down so it's at the top of the vase? Like
Well,
said,
you can decide whether you want it to be your tallest or your lowest,
Right,
or you
right.
might do one of each. It could be your tallest and your shortest. Because you're
Right.
going to use 3, like you're going to start with 3. You could end up with 5 or 7 or 9, but 3 is always a good place to start.
all right, and you want us to do this now to start putting stuff in? Okay.
Yep.
Now, when we cut flowers, should we cut them on an angle? Is there?
Thank
any
you,
way-
Judy. I didn't,
Oh,
yes,
Do
I
I
was-
step up to the front of the class?
yes, you step right up to the front. 45-degree angle. Does anybody know why?
It lets the water come
Water
up the stem.
flows in easier?
It's got the most surface area. So
Uh-huh.
yes, that's exactly right. And when you change the water,
So well.
you're going to trim just ever so slightly at a 45-degree angle because it kind of scabs up. So you want to remove the stem. I mean, you want to remove the scab. So it
When
can,
you, sorry. When you said the flower was like at the top of the vase, like, do you really mean it? That's like,
Can I
should-
see, can I see where you are? Yes, I mean, like really, like literally, right? Like,
So I need to cut it
resting.
down more.
Just a little bit. So it's not that only, you know, that one thing, there's some beautiful thing that's resting on the rim of the vase. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be there, but there is always one thing there. At least when I do my designs, I find that a very helpful, that's like how, again, it's establishing your floor and then you're establishing your ceiling. Robin,
Yes.
could you just hold those up, those white, we're not sure, we think they're daisies. So this is a very interesting consideration. You don't necessarily have to use all the flowers that are attached in one bunch. You don't need to do anything about it,
Does
but
this
you
look
may
like
just,
3 times?
you may decide that you
Oh, I
want to
know.
edit it. You
Wow.
may decide it's too dense, and so you can take
Yeah,
some
it's
flowers
actually
off there. Or not. It's just like you're not bound to exactly the shape that they come in.
Right, so but you said to do like, all right, so what I did here,
Can you move it in front of the camera
Yes.
a little bit?
okay,
We're
So-
supposed to be putting all the flowers in?
okay.
So.
So
Right,
this,
do it. I like to say do 3, then bring in some friends,
Okay.
and see how you like it. Then you can add some more, but you know, you're building a structure.
So 3 of the same thing or 3 just 3
I like to
things?
say 3 of the same thing.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
That's, I mean,
Well,
it's,
I only have 2 of this, so that's the end of it. Sorry.
okay,
When
Robin, back to
when
you.
cut- Oh, sorry.
No, no, go
When you
ahead.
cut your flower, should you cut it at the, like at the knot, where the knot is, or above the knot, or below the
No,
knot? Does it
I don't
matter?
know that it really matters.
Doesn't matter,
I
okay.
think it's really about where it's going. Robin, you
Yes.
had a question.
yeah, so the tallest one,
Yeah,
or I don't know if it's just a matter of opinion, should that be in the middle?
no,
And
thank you for asking that.
Okay,
So remember I said asymmetry is your friend?
yes,
If you put something square in the middle, it like makes you stop. It's like your mind goes, dun. There's no mystery to it. So I like to say, if you can possibly avoid putting your tallest thing or your most favorite thing straight in the middle, do, because what you're looking for is diagonals, arcs. You're not looking for something that's square in the middle because it kind of stops the eye. Does that make sense? Like I can see you already have a beautiful diagonal going on.
yeah, and so this one, I mean, it was good because the tall one is like right in the corner. So
Yes,
it's like
and
anchored-
that's the other thing. So you're helping me do my job much better.
My pleasure.
Using your vase to help you support, you know, so yeah, I said you could use a Kenzen, you could use foam, you could use all, but if you use your vase, you're going to have a more interesting arrangement because your vase and your flowers are working together. Now, if you have a, you know, just a plain round vase, nothing wrong with that. It doesn't really help you in terms of shaping things, but if you have a square or a rectangle or some other odd shape, then indeed it is going to help you design the way your flowers are going to move. Does that make sense? Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen?
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Elise. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
If
Hi,
you lower
Elise.
if you lower your camera a little bit, I can actually see you, and feel free to ask any questions because I guess you're jumping in a little late.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, no, it's fine. I just want to give you, I'm going to give you a couple of tips just to get you started. I'm going to give you the rule of 3 times 3. The rule of 3 is really useful in a lot of ways, but one of the first things you want to do is
And you
establish
want them
your
to
top,
stand better.
like your tallest flower. So it's a
Okay.
1, 2, 3 times the height of the vase is your tallest. And then you also want to establish your bottom, which is something on the rim of your vase. Oh, sorry, I was showing you like that, but here you go. So once you understand kind of what's the bottom and what's the top, then your job is bringing our eye up, right?
I'm late.
And the other thing to do is to start with one flower. You could call it your favorite and pick 3 stems of it. And then think about who you want to add to the dance. Because it's like you're making a play or a dance. And you have your main character and you have your supporting characters.
Uh-oh.
And just stick with odd numbers. This is looking very beautiful, Joyce. Can you move it back a little bit so I can see it a little better? So if everybody, can I get everybody's attention on Joyce's screen for a minute? I'm going to pin you because this is, you know, I like to say an educational moment. So there's a few things I want to point out. First of all, almost no 2 stems are the same. There may be one right in the middle that you might want to play around with the height. But those white ones, go back a little bit again, Joyce, because what's important here to see is the high white, the medium white, and the low white, because it makes this kind of ziggurat, right? So my eye is traveling. You want to try and do that same thing with your reds as you have gotten going on with your, and again, who was I going to just say this to? To Mary Ellen. The only real rule, there's only one real rule, which is no 2 stems are the same length.
Okay,
If you follow that rule and nothing else, you'll make a beautiful arrangement, I promise.
okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So happy.
Also think about whether your arrangement is going on a table in the round or whether you are doing it against a wall, because if it's in the round, you want to make sure that everyone at the table has something beautiful to look at. Make sense? Right? Nobody should have a dud.
So if you want an extra one.
Are these, they're different heights. I think they're good.
Okay, these are only flowers.
Let me get something.
So Joyce, another thing I want to suggest is with that green guy, I think it's, is it eucalyptus? No, it's ruscus, right?
This tall one?
Yeah, play around around where you put it. Because this is again about the relationships between things. And sometimes you don't know till you know. But sometimes by just twisting it a certain way or putting it next to something, it changes the relationship of that element with everything else. Because you don't want somebody like out in left field who's disconnected from the rest. Does that make sense?
Elise, can you talk about how much water should be in the vase?
Yes, I love that question. I always say just put enough water in the bottom that all the stems are in.
And
You
should it
don't-
be lukewarm?
No.
No.
You know when it's good to have lukewarm water? If you have a peony or something else that's really balled up tight,
That needs to
or it's
open.
open, then you
Uh-huh.
need warm water. If you want your flowers to last, honestly, cold is good.
Okay.
Okay, Robin, can you step back? Because there's some teaching moments I have here. If everybody could look at Robin's, and Robin, I need you to pull back a little bit so I can, okay. Yeah, if you could just step back so we can see the whole picture, like the whole vase, like from top to bottom. Yeah, you might have to exactly. Even a little further back.
I just ran out of table.
Oh, okay. So Robin's got some really beautiful lines going on. She's got that pink at the top, pink at the bottom, and then pink up at the top. And then she's got her white moving around. I want to say, if you wouldn't mind trying to take those green leaves out for a minute. And yeah, and you just did exactly the thing I was going to say, which is just move those tall pink ones just a little, not like exactly center, but
Yeah,
just,
they're not staying. That was.
okay. So they sometimes don't. And sometimes what you can do about that is look at what's going on down below and then just squitch them in just so. Now you've got a sort of basic shape. And if you wanted to add the greens, you might want to edit a little bit some of your flowers and also edit some of the leaves so it's not so
These are
dense,
easy to break off. These
right? You want to have a little air between things. And you don't want to, you have this nice upward movement to it, and you don't want the greens to like push it down. You want them to just
So,
very
How
gently.
tall would you make the greens?
Well, that's a good question. I would, before you cut, I'd like stand behind it and look at it like, you might want, play around. But also you can take some of them off because I feel like they're already so thick that they're gonna
Yeah,
They're
two of
gonna
them
kind
are
of-
very thick.
Nice.
claim, they're gonna claim more credit than they're
Joyce, I
due.
like that. Yeah, I like it. Look at mine, see if it looks okay.
Oh, see, this is the problem is because I have 4 of these. And it's
Judy,
that's what's
Judy,
going
can I
on.
see what you're
Judy, yes,
doing?
wants to see.
Yeah, let me say, I don't know if mine looks good.
Well, first of all, there are no ugly flowers, A.
I get it.
And B, perfection is overrated. And C, it looks really lovely to me. And one of the reasons that is that you have so many layers,
Yeah,
right? You've got a lot of layers going on.
right.
Now, the only one that looks to me a little lonely is that
Is-
one up top, right?
This guy, yes.
Yeah. Now, before you do very much, just turn it. Just turn it. Yes.
Bingo.
Right?
You like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
I would take some of those. I didn't say this, but I will say any
Take
leaf
some
that
of
is
the
not,
leaves.
any leaf that's not perfect should be removed.
Bye-bye. Gotcha.
That's the only thing about perfection. Like you have to have,
Right,
you only
Have to
want
look
leaves
that.
that are beautiful,
right.
right? And I kind of feel like,
You know,
Judy, that beautiful tall alstroemeria may be a little snooty, if you know what I mean. Could it,
Yeah.
like, could you be a little bit with your people without having to, like, you don't have to be short, just, you might have to trim it like a half an inch. So it's just like,
Okay,
so that there's a line of red flowers. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Anybody else want some,
Oh, she's the same height as this guy.
oh, well, then you might want to change somebody else a little bit. But that relationship between, these red flowers is important. So either play with the placement, like where it is in the vase, but also the height.
I have a fourth flower. Oops, I have a fourth flower, but I know we're not supposed to use even
Well,
numbers.
here's the thing. Once you are in it, you can break the rules.
I just broke it. Okay,
That looks really good.
that looks good, right? I think that's
Hold on.
pretty.
It's very, I want to see it bigger. Yeah, you're doing the thing which is about making our eye go up.
Mhm.
Yeah, can I see yours again, Joyce?
Joyce?
Yes,
I have to move around.
it's very, yes, and that's the other thing I want to say. It's really important, at flower schools, they have those lazy Susans. So you can constantly turn it because you want to look at it from every angle. So
Mhm.
make sure that you do that and also step away from it so that you can see it as you would be seeing it if you were coming in the door.
You have a lot of nice air. She
Air
has-
is good.
Yeah,
Space.
Joyce has, it's airier. Mine is a little congested, I think.
Well,
but
one of the
that's
things you can do about congestion is take out more leaves.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I had 4 of the red ones and I realized something wasn't right. And then I took out, I said, no, I should only have 3 of them. And it opens it up and makes it look much better.
Yeah, it's these little things. And also like, one of the things I've learned in Ikebana is you can turn something like 45 degrees or not even, and the shift in the relationships of where the flower is looking is incredible. And if you think about it, so this is directly from my teacher, you're putting nature in a container. And like that has changed the whole thing for me. I just want to say, Robin,
Yes.
Looks
I
great.
love how you've added that green. It's kind of a
Yeah.
supporting cast member. and it's doing its job. Like it's
Yeah,
giving you a little,
they were very thick.
yeah,
so
and
I
you,
broke them
yeah, no,
apart.
you edited them. And yeah, I don't think you need much more.
I think I'm done.
Looks really good, Rob.
That's my green thumb.
Well, also, one of the reasons people tend to do that squish down thing, you know, like the flowers are all like squished down, and I'm always like, no, you want up, you want air, you want it to feel like flowers go towards the sun. So you always want that feeling. Mary Ellen, do you want me to take a look at what you're up to?
Well, I'll tell you, I bought a very short bouquet,
Okay.
a very tall vase. So
Oh,
now I went to a glass.
oh, good. That's so you missed this, but you actually figured it out, which is that you have to adopt. You have to make a duet between your flowers and your vase.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, everything was the same. It was a very, actually,
but your colors are
Yeah.
gorgeous.
I bought the flowers last week.
Wow.
I thought the
Wow.
class, no, I thought the class was last week.
But they're beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they're
I
not-
just bought these at Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's has the best flowers. I mean, I always say, you know, you can spend $15 and make the most
Two
beautiful.
extra whips.
Oh, no, I thought
This
that was
was, this was $4.
Oh, wow. Can you move it back? Because I'd like to show everybody how you
Well-
managed to figure this out with the glass rather than, yeah, go back a little further. Yeah.
Everything else.
So you use the rule of three. Wait, come back. Where'd you go? There you go.
For me,
Yeah. Okay, there we go. You've got that nice, there's one leaf in the back. I hate to be annoying, but there's one leaf in the back that's
on
kind of,
the rose.
right, that one, take that one away. And then you have this interesting thing. So everybody, if you could look at Mary Ellen's for 1 second. Wait, back that up again.
It came out really nice.
Yeah, wait, where'd she go? I have to figure out how to pin you. Hold on. Pin, here we go. All right, so you see how between those two pink roses, there's just this little empty spot?
With this,
Yes, but before you put the whole thing in, you don't really need all those flowers. You might want up 1 or 2,
okay.
just to give us a little something to focus on, but not like soaking up all the sunlight. Does that make sense?
Okay, so just,
Yeah, and you can take them off in any place. I always say if there's 2 at the same height, take off one of the ones that is the same height. Because, you know, we don't want anything that's the same height if we can help
Right.
it.
Look like he's doing nothing out here.
Nope, I like it because it gives it some.
And get rid of all
No,
those
it's
leaves.
symmetry.
None of those leaves are helpful.
I feel like
Asymmetry, I mean.
Asymmetry
With the
is
same
your
height, so I
friend.
feel like I should maybe lower this.
Right, that was the tip.
Yeah, not this
A
one. not
tip
the
that
other.
I think Mary Ellen maybe missed was when you said nothing should be underneath the vase, no leaves, no.
Right, no leaves under the rim of the vase, but you can clean
oh,
that up
okay,
later.
got it.
Right, and also no ugly
Now
leaves,
it's the same height as that.
no ugly leaves, no tired leaves, no ripped leaves,
Good
no
question.
brown leaves,
Is
like.
that in the middle, or then that'll be too symmetrical.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Do another one together with
Do you
the
want-
leftovers.
Do you want another one?
And I love how you've made this beautiful triangle with the
No, I
2
screwed
big
up.
roses and the tea roses. Because remember I said, you know, you should start with 3, but in my usual way of breaking
There you go.
the
I
rules.
just
that's
didn't
good.
want to take off all the tea.
No, it's great.
So pretty.
Great. It's really great. You just need to get rid of some of those tired leaves behind.
This,
See that one, and there's one
Can I
behind.
lower this one and make it kind of asymmetrical?
No, I like
Hold on.
it.
Yeah.
Wait. Judy, are you asking me a question?
Oh, no, I was asking Joyce, but
Okay.
you're a professional, so I can ask
Wow.
you.
Wow,
What
Well,
do you think? Is
I
it too
think you-
symmetrical?
it is. It's great. No,
Too symmetrical?
no,
No?
I don't think so, because you've got that nice green ruscus pulling us in that direction. And then you
Okay.
have the white mum on the bottom. So you have a nice diagonal there.
Okay.
I mean,
Thank you.
you can always mess it around.
Right, yeah.
I feel like your Joyce, that Alstroemeria over there.
This guy.
Yes, I feel like she needs to be a little closer to her friends.
That was the
No, I
problem I
mean, I
had
really-
before. She was
it's really like-
antisocial.
This is
She's
all
social
about
distancing.
relationships, right? It's all about relationships. It
They have
always
to all
is.
get along.
Yeah.
But like where? Yeah.
It
If
might
you put-
need to be a little shorter, honestly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it needs to be a
Do you
little
want some of
shorter.
these balls? No?
I don't want to.
And try to cross them. Maybe if you cross them, it'll stick in up.
Oh, yes, well, thank you. Yeah, that's when, once you have your stems in,
Right.
you use that to help.
Right, yeah.
things- Right.
Oops, uh-oh.
Well, there's that too. And then you sometimes say, oh, that's perfect. And sometimes you say, no, you over here.
She has a mind of its own, of her own.
Well, it's because, sometimes you can lean them a little bit against their friends.
Right.
No one will know.
I feel like this should be a little shorter. Okay. I'm
I
making
think
it.
you're done, Mary Ellen. I think you're done.
Done?
I think you're done.
Okay.
It's-
I just
it's got
wrote
nice-
this.
That one, you could just cut it a little shorter because, ladies, I have to tell you the most memorable thing. Thrilling, filling, and spilling. If you have something that like does a little overhang, that's your spiller, like that's okay. Like pull her out a little bit, that one. So she's not the same as her friend next door. That purple one, right? You want her to be either a little lower or a little farther out, but not exactly next to her neighbor.
This one?
Yeah. Mhm.
So shorten it?
Either shorten it or pull her out a little bit so that she's,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, I
Oh, I
got
think
you.
that's really
Yeah.
pretty. I think that's pretty. They're all different. This is very pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty, Joyce. I like that. It's
So,
airier than mine. Mine is too congested.
All right, here's the test. What are you gonna do in 2 days?
Change the water,
Change the
Yes,
water.
what else are you gonna
Bingo.
do when you change the water?
trim the stems.
Yes, and what else are you gonna do?
Take the dead leaves off.
Yes, and rearrange, rearrange.
Oh,
Like,
rearrange?
Rearrange,
Put it in
yeah.
a different container.
You didn't tell
Try
me.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
a different container.
yeah, why not?
Ah,
Play around.
So
Okay.
then my container is going to get smaller and smaller.
That's
well, that's a
okay,
nice little short guy.
but it's beautiful. So
Yeah. I've
and
seen
some of
pretty
them
short
will-
ones.
some of them die before others, and therefore you really do have to,
Yeah.
you are gonna have to replace certain things or not replace them, just put them in smaller containers and you get different.
Mary
combinations.
Ellen missed that you can use an ice cream container.
Oh, yes, you can use an
Right.
ice cream. I mean, you could use a soup can. I mean, really, you could use anything.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's waterproof. If it's not waterproof, you get a liner. But that's part of the fun of it. Any other questions?
I have to
Right, so
say the
just-
flowers are beautiful.
Yes,
You
everybody,
did an
um,
amazing job. And I think Robin did too, right?
I did. I had all the extra flowers, so I threw them into the other vase.
exactly. Well, that's like the repurpose. Oh, right. So you have 2 arrangements. Fantastic.
So just to clarify with the water, I have, just a little bit of water in the bottom.
As long as all the stems are in the
Okay.
water, you're
Okay.
fine.
Right, right.
Sometimes you have a little shorty
Oh,
and
I have a
then
leaf
you
in
have to
there.
add water to make sure it's getting water. But as long as I always like look at it and I go like, I look at all my little stem bottoms. Are you all in the water? Oh, okay, good. And then that's as much water as you need.
I'm happy, it looks nice.
So of course,
Beautiful.
when you're done and you find that there's a leaf in the bottom and you're all done.
That's okay.
have to
You
get
can
you have to
leave
get
it.
a
I
stick.
mean, it's like, yes, I have done that. I have fished it out. But the truth of the matter is you're going to change the water. It's fine.
Thank you. I'm using a chopstick.
Chopsticks are good.
Let's see, we can,
Nice
Good
work,
work.
everybody.
thank you.
That was
great.
really helpful. I really feel like I learned a lot.
Nice tips. Mhm.
And the thing is, if you like to keep flowers in your house, this is like how I start my day. I pour my coffee, I look at whose water needs changing, and I rearrange. And it doesn't usually take very long, but it's become kind of a practice for me. And it's a really lovely way to start the day. So I just encourage you to try that, and it might be habit forming.
Well, you and I were talking a little bit before too, with the mindfulness sometimes. It's a way of calming. If you sit there and kind of think about something else, and I love your phrasing too, it doesn't have to be perfect or the same height, or
Right.
throw something out if it's dying, and or add something if you don't like it, you know. So thank you very much. And again, I will be following up. I'll send everybody a recording of this so you can go back and re-listen to the tapes. And I'm also going to send a link to the article that was in the New Yorker where it spotlights Elise. But thank you very much, Elise. This was, again,
Thank you all.
I'm gonna listen to this because I want to do this, but I'm too busy
Okay,
watching
good.
when
If anybody Instagrams, I love to see you take a picture of your flowers wherever you want to put them and tag me.
or excellent, or if you want to send me the picture, I can also do it on the library has an Instagram. I could do that as well. If you send me the pictures, we could even do that and then tag you as well.
Great, love that.
Whatever works. Well, thank you very much, Elise. This was
Thank you
very
all. It's really
informative.
nice getting to know you.
Nice.
Enjoy your flowers.
And
Elise,
thank
do we have your
everybody
Instagram?
to freshen up their
In the
winter
chat?
house. You
It's
know?
Fleur Elise Bkln.
Okay.
Yeah.
Famous, yeah. So I'll look forward to seeing you on the old gram.
All
Have
right.
a good holiday, everyone.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Take care.